Good morning. It is the 8th of March. It's just about 9:15, and we're going to do a quick update. Pre-market. This is E from MarketWizards.com and eMiniWizard.com, reminding traders to use risk capital you can afford to lose. All right, let's take a look at a few charts. And let's look at a few notes, and then let's tackle that question. It's all important question that one of our traders asked. So guys, any advice will help. Whenever we have a big move like this before pre-market, I get confused at the open. Half my mind says they'll take profits, other half says stick to the trend. And then he's got a couple of smileys rolling on the floor laughing, and you certainly can't blame it because that's the perfect question, and that's the conundrum of trading. So let's take a look and see if we can help put some ideas and some flesh to that question. And I've answered already. So how should I think about it was the question. And I'm going to say, well, we're going to talk about it as the day materializes. And obviously hindsight will be the best answer to your question. But let's take a look at travel range and what's been done. So I've suggested earlier that I thought for sure in my book we were going to hit 32.75. It just was a given in my methodology. And I had said that yesterday. We had plotted the steps for that. And last night I suggested that 55 was resistance. So we don't know who's going to win this battle. But 55 is my resistance, and if you're shorting, then you got to use that 52 zone for resistance and hope you can get back down and test the prior day's low. That low is support until broken. Well, we got it broken, and we've got the big move down. Typically, to answer directly your question, on a move down when there's news, we have a rule that says you've got to go with that flow for a while. You're not going to fight the trend. The trend is still down. So pre-market, if you're not around to trade it, you miss the best opportunities on any pullbacks to go with it. So my best answer is you have to be careful when we get near bigger support targets. So if we're looking at this 22.75, we're almost 100 points off of the high that we had talked about back here. Let's use 22 resistance. So I said today, well, my target is 19.75, a 100-point move from there. So risk and reward certainly comes in now. So Don, I don't know what to tell you other than if you're short, you really do want to be paid ahead of the open. And anybody that wants lower, be very careful because at any time we could snap back. I had proposed earlier this morning that the 10-minute chart was absolutely perfect. And it still is. This is the umbrella trade that we've talked about. And I said this is still intact. So my feeling was that we're probably in a descending triangle that needed to be proven. But you can see how this zone right here yesterday held on any pushbacks. And I said 38.5. Above that, the market is bouncing, and below it, we're testing for support. So we're going to remember that today as an important milestone. And truthfully, your better odds really are covering ahead of the open. So if you want to buy, you've got to use 2-3 point stop and nibble and try to get a couple of points if that's your game. If you're a really conservative trader, then you won't do anything for a few minutes. You'll let the IB set down the range, and then you say, okay, let me grab a couple points here and there. Don't forget, it's not the range of the day that counts, but what we put in our pocket that counts. So you need to have some discipline not to get too shook up when you see this and you miss the move. Because that happens, especially with the overnight moves. So what you're looking for today is for an obvious bounce that comes, and probably it'll be after IB. You'll get bounces will get sold this morning. in my book, and we're using 42 as our current resistance. But I'm not projecting that we have to go to China from here. I think the market needs to absorb this and consolidate. And the best trades short are obviously already done. You know, because now we're shorting the lows compared to where the opportunity was yesterday. And even here, when I had said, okay, you know, and anybody wants to short, I said 60, we had pulled 76 and a quarter out. That thing has worked. That's a 50-point trade. So basis that high, you know, risk reward really starts to diminish. And then we called this high up in here and said, okay, guys, 61 if you want it. I don't think, I said short, you know, let it hit 59 and then short, you know, below 62 to 63. So part of the frustration of trying to help traders is seeing these things and making those calls. And then, and this is not a knock on anybody asking that question, but saying, come on, I want something I can trade. And I'm doing the very best I can to help show you what I'm reading and the things that I'm reading and the directionality of we're playing the trend trades. Let the guessers guess. We want to play the trend trades. But now we've got almost a 100-point target hit. And it's hard to do that. So sometimes the answer is don't do anything. If you don't like buying against this solid downtrend, or you don't want to wait for a bounce where you think there's better odds to short, don't do anything. And that's a great question. And I don't have any better answer for you than what I've just shared. Now, I am trying to do is show you the methodology that we use to help find these targets. We'll be opening up in about 7-8 minutes. I'm going to perhaps do a couple pre-market videos just to show a few different things. So right now, I'm using that 42 to 45 area resistance. That's got to be our first resistance, obviously. And then if we can get above that, market has to take out the overnight high. So, and do I think the low is in yet? Probably not. Do I want to get caught on a new low? Definitely not. That's my feeling. All right, let's take a look at a couple other charts. And why not take a look at this big boy before we start another video. This was my target line. I said that yesterday, that there is no support built up because these are all white bars. And I said, this is the next support that the market needs to break. And then this is our target line right here, which we can see, if you scroll over, it's 24 and a quarter, I believe it is. So that was our next target, 24.5. Okay, so that relationship, very important. And obviously you can see the next line, and we go half spans before we even think about that. So I've already identified what I think is the next support low back here on the 12th, and that low is 20 and a quarter. So that's, in my opinion, these traders are now saying, uh-oh, all these profits, all the guys had no pullbacks, no pullbacks. Guess what? Mark's 2 pullback. You're just a victim of the recency bias, and you think that you can never make a mistake. So 18 to 22 is a support currently. I posted that much earlier. That's the support for a buy if you want it. And if it doesn't work, take your stop out. But certainly better odds for 2 points going long than going short for 2 points at this level. And probably hit and run will serve you well in IB because there are a lot of trap traders on the long side. And I do believe that bounces will get hit. And then by the end of the day, we've got to think about rollover and thinking about traders taking profits from an outstanding week. So hit a bounce or two is the call. Anybody wants the buy side, 18 to 22 is the immediate support. Let's take a look at a couple other charts.